Yeah.
And inside, that little Baron inside was screaming and yelling, "Why did they never use him for a spy film?"
Dustin Hoffman, Laurence Olivier, Roy Scheider, William Devane, Marthe Keller.
Is it safe?
Is it safe? Marathon Man, a thriller, rated R.
Welcome. We're back. We are in the house with this guy again. That's right. A first watch reaction. This will be from both of us. Neither one of us had seen Marathon Man. 50 years, came out in 1976, a film that I'd always heard just glowing reviews, tons of praise for, have seen the posters, and was always aware and just kind of never got around to seeing it. So it kind of put it on the radar screen for this guy. He's like, no, I haven't seen it either. I'm like, oh, that's even better. So Baron, my friend, great to have you with me hanging out. Yeah, awesome, man.
Always happy to. And I got one question.
Absolutely.
Is it safe?
Is it safe? Is it safe?
Is it safe?
It just so that wasn't even I never even knew of the line. I just knew of the scene. Like I knew there was a torture scene. I did not know of the line. And I have to be honest,
really?
I have I have spent my life completely with the wrong perception of the movie, because all the posters and marketing material just has Dustin Hoffman with the revolver. So I always thought, well, this is Dustin Hoffman's 1970, Serpico or French Connection or something like that. And really, this is not that at all, folks. This is just not.
No.
This is, he plays this, young college kid. You see him running in this opening scene, and then later you see him in his apartment and going to school. And Roy Scheider is this brother, and you end up with sort of like this little crime noir thriller that's set around the mysterious secret life of Roy Scheider's character, the older brother. And then there's ties to this, last living big, Nazi that's out there, Claus Zell, played by the famous Laurence Olivier, who I also realized, and it's just shameful of someone of our caliber, I guess, Baron, I probably could not have picked Laurence Olivier out of a lineup. He did not feel like Laurence Olivier in this movie to me. I was like, oh, that is not the images I had. I also do realize, though, I will acknowledge, this is very late in his life. He is very ill during this production. So the more of the suave, dashing Laurence Olivier images that I have in my head is probably because of that. It's like, somewhere between the 40s, 50s, and 60s versions of Laurence Olivier, not in 1976. So with that said, though, great casting. Those are three big names, high caliber profiles. John Schlesinger is able to pull together. Did you come into this with other sort of like preconceived notions or know much about the film? Because I really feel like I was so way off base with this one.
Yeah, same here. I mean, you've heard of the film, and of course, for me, I've always heard that line, and people would use it, around. I've heard it used. Is it safe? Is it safe? And everybody knew what you were talking about. They knew you were talking about that torture scene. And I kind of find it hard to even sit back and say this is a Dustin Hoffman film because of how much time everybody gets and how everybody is in all different places. And it's like, well, what's going on here? But it's kind of seamless as it starts coming closer and closer to the center. Everybody has their part in it, and they work really hard. And it's like sometimes I'm wondering, is Roy Scheider actually getting more screen time than Hoffman? Or and then because Hoffman's there's so much focus on Scheider, and then things change. It's like it's almost what would they ensemble more than anything else.
Yeah, it kind of has like three co-leads that are there, and I
Right.
was really impressed with Roy Scheider. I never really thought of him as sort of a spy espionage type performer.
Hmm.
He carries that way better than I really appreciated. I really not would not have thought of that as sort of in his repertoire.
Right.
I also want to give him kudos for having such a great film, right after Jaws. Like, man,
Yeah.
this is pretty epic, man. I just
Mhm.
never, yeah, just one of those things. Just never worked out to have seen it. Do also want to give a little bit of credit here. Bill Devane
Yeah.
plays Peter Janeway. You can see him here in this scene,
Hmm.
and Peter Janeway is his partner. And I will say, based on the source material, and then there's like one comment, and everything else was kind of cut and not in the final script. But I guess in the book, in the source material, they are lovers as well. So I did not
Oh.
know that undertone. I had
Hmm.
because after watching this, I'll be honest, this is one of the few times before we record where I had to go down the rabbit hole a little bit. I felt like, okay, I was so way off base from my expectation and reality.
Hmm.
And I'm not, this isn't about evaluation or judging the film yet. This is just my perspective. Like, what I'm not watching the film I thought I was going to be watching. So then
Right.
I'm like, okay, it is based on a novel. Okay, that fits the 1970s stereotype crime adaptations
Hmm.
and novel. Okay, that's fine. Okay. And then you have all the names of what they were trying to get before they settled on Hoffman and some of that kind of stuff that I at least knew a little bit of. And then I was like, wait, they're supposed to be, and there's the one line about, what's he say? Janie, get your butt over, he get your, arse over here or whatever. I thought, of course you're kind of like, it's a cheeky name. So you feel like he could just have been
Hmm.
talking to his lover that
Hmm.
happens to be in that town. But according to the source material, yeah, they were also doing their thing. So
Hmm. And
yeah.
William Devane did a great job too in this.
Hmm. Hmm.
Nowadays people just know him from those commercials, but he was a pretty substantial actor in his day.
Oh, 100%. I think William Devane is one of those guys that chews up a lot of great scenes.
Oh
People
yeah.
know him a lot from, I think, 24, right? Knots Landing,
Hmm.
24. But he had a long series of different films that he was in. He's always done, I think, a very, very great job. I really like him in like movies like Payback, and he
Oh
just
yeah.
kind of plays like a not really. I guess he's kind of a heavy, but he's just more like a light heavy. He's just like a
Mhm.
dude that has sort of like gravity in the room. You're supposed to take
Mhm.
serious. So he's always
Right.
he's always kind of fit that. But yeah, he's got a massive resume. If you've never realized how many things he's been in, he has done tons of TV work as well as in the cinema. So
Yeah, even into the comic book movies. So.
yeah, agreed. So you end up with sort of another little backstory that you don't totally get, and kudos for them for the payoff where you have
Mhm.
the shots of Olivier. First, if you're going overseas somewhere, you don't really even know exactly where you are or what's going on. It's later
Mhm.
revealed to be Uruguay, and he's just cutting his hair. There's all this drama around cutting his hair, and later you realize that the authorities know who he is and they'll know what he looks like. So by
Right.
changing his appearance, even if something as subtle as just cutting your hair would work back in the 70s, that was kind of
Oh yeah.
amusing to me, Baron. I don't think it's going to work today, but it would have worked back then.
Yeah, you don't have the face recognition softwares and all that. So, back in those days. So yeah, it was easier to blend in. If anybody's watching it from the day and they're going, well, why didn't they use your cell? They didn't have cell phones. Well, they didn't have that? I mean,
Yeah,
this is where people actually had to really wear the soles of their shoes out, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And it was easier to blend in and hide. And that's why so many people were able to get away back in the day.
true. Very true. The film, again, also has a very rememberable scene. I actually was so impressed with the very early in the film. You have those credits where we saw with Hoffman's character running, and
Hmm.
this little old man, he's going to a safety deposit box at a bank and taking this little container, which of course gets passed off. And you end up with this crazy verbal exchange with basically a German guy and a Jewish guy. And
Hmm.
the guy just starts snapping. It becomes like crazy road rage nonsense.
Mhm.
And then he just becomes like a nut, just running into him, and then they're racing down the freeway highway, busy streets, by the way, just
Mhm.
clanging in. Cars are clanging into each. Again, love this, man. The 70s are beautiful. It was just
Oh,
there's no CGI back then, folks. They would have had just two stunt drivers slamming cars into each other in front of a dude on a truck with a camera on a mount, and John Schlesinger in there with a megaphone yelling. I mean, that was literally filming in the 70s. It's I wish
yeah.
I just wish for more of this. I think this is the
Oh, yeah.
gritty, visceral filmmaking that we have to go full circle and get back to. Really enjoyed this sequence.
And the thing is too, is what's surprising is it's so hysterical. I
Mhm.
mean, realistically so. Realistically, you could see something like this happening in New York back in that time. And it's like, oh, there you go. You're getting the warm New York welcome.
I don't know what we're yelling about! You ever notice how mean people smell like leftovers?
The two people diametrically opposed, but the exchange between them and all that was absolutely, it's just, I was laughing on it. It's like, my word, it's like, this is supposed to be this intense thriller, but yet this one of those things that sucks you in. You got something like that, and then boom, literally.
Yeah. So it ends in tragedy and we lose those characters. We find out the meaning of that later on in the film.
Mhm,
And you're just kind of moving quickly from character, big character, big character, little pieces of the puzzle are always being filled in around you because we have to have a little bit of the background with Hoffman's character as well,
right.
where you feel like Babe's dad is also somebody worth noting. They just brilliantly put this scene together because they want to try to showcase how smart he is. We're not just
Mhm,
going to have some stupid exposition dump about how smart you are.
right.
He asked this class of 4 or 5 people in graduate, they're basically graduate level, of questions that he's quickly jotting the answers down but doesn't speak out. Professor calls him out
Mhm,
on it, talks about his dad a little bit. So you have all of this, post-war, Red Scare stuff with the communism stuff, with the Nazi stuff, with the it's taken in New
mhm,
York. So you have that with the conflict with the Jewish community. You have
mhm.
tons of cultural stuff. I found it
Yeah.
refreshing to sort of kind of get caught up on that a little bit. And I don't know if this is what resonated with folks a lot during that time, but it felt like it was one of the things that really grounds it as a great representation of its time, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, but again, it's amazing with what just a few words and such can explain it. I mean, when he's doing it, he's actually writing the answer down
Mhm.
while the other three students are fumbling around and getting what would you say, kind of chastised. There we go,
Mhm.
chastised uh by the professor, played by the great Fritz Weaver, by the way. And we've all seen him in so many things. And in the discussion, it's like, I know that you are, I know, because your father, I know, all this, so what up? And then discussing what he is writing about. Yeah, it shows a lot right there, that in those brief exchanges he's having, that this guy is a little more exceptional than others when it, up there, but which you wouldn't have guessed because of how he lives and how he acts, and you know how he is.
Yeah, he definitely has a very sort of like nerdy, juvenile approach to things. You end
Hmm.
up with and again, the film doesn't feel like we're having a spy thriller that's baking in the background because you end up just following his
No.
character from the running thing, the obsession with running a marathon, has
Hmm.
school classes. He goes to library to study. He meets this girl. He's awkwardly interacting with her, which she's calling him out on. He's trying to kind of pick her up a little bit, and they hit it off a little bit, but it's not. She's
Hmm.
still, playing a little hard to get, which is great.
Right.
and
Hmm.
and then the story just moves very quickly somewhere else, and you end up with
Yeah.
just, okay, what's going on over here with the brother, and the brother just
Hmm.
shows up on his doorstep, and the stuff that's happening with that safety deposit box package and the spy thriller stuff with the Nazi and all that kind of stuff is happening in
Hmm.
pieces, a little here, a little there, a little there. They had great chemistry together on screen. They were
Oh
really
yeah.
phenomenal together. And
Hmm.
talk about just an Oscar and Felix type approach with, how can you live in this dump and how can you eat like this? And,
Hmm.
he's, super suave and dashing. And, the audience knows way more than he know than the characters know. So we
Right.
know why, because he's working for a government agency and he's living high life and pretending to be basically our James Bond, if you will, in the middle of all
Yeah.
this. Phenomenal stuff, just absolutely phenomenal stuff.
And, and you look at this, it's like, damn, he could play a spy, an American spy, if he, in the American Spy film series or whatnot, because of how he is. I mean, Roy Scheider was such a great actor. And, the one thing is, I got laughed at by 24/7 Vigilante Williamson when I suggested this, because especially after I saw the movie, the Bob Fosse, when he was playing Bob Fosse, and he had the mustache and the goatee. And I said, Roy Scheider would make a great Green Arrow. And I
Mm.
still hold to that. I mean, especially when you see the scenes where he's doing the exercises, how buff he was.
Oh, he's ripped in
And
this movie. Holy cow! See if I can
holy cow.
find that shot. I don't even know. I think I have to go back to
Woo.
the hotel scene. Did not
Yeah,
know he was ripped like that. That he is insanely ripped,
right.
for sure. And they do showcase that in this battle scene that this guy comes in to try to get to him. So
Hmm.
you see just this, like you say, superhero level physique and body and all that. So yeah, this is earlier, the shot we had
Oh yeah.
earlier where he's in the
Yeah.
hotel room working out, and he's there just doing push-ups on the edge of the bed and stretching or whatever, and he stands up and he turns around and he's just lit up. Yeah. So
Yeah. And he's doing those exercises for real. It's not tricks. It's no green
no,
screen. It's no
no stunt
CGI.
double, no,
Oh,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's him, and it's like, I think, of course, seeing him in films like 2010, you never would expect him to be like that, that buff. Even Jaws, I mean, look
Yes,
how he's able to change his characters as he goes along. I've always admired him in his acting abilities, always have. And
right.
when he passed, it was sad. It's like, no, don't take him. He's
Mm-hmm.
got to play Green Arrow. I don't care what they say.
Yeah, he has a lot of really, and the thing is, he just never become like an A-lister. He never
Yeah.
really become the guy. Yes, of course he was, he's the main guy in Jaws, and he may be the main guy in, yeah, Blue Thunder or 2010, whatever.
Oh yeah.
But he was not an A-lister caliber that, on that
Mhm.
scale. So, sad though that he did stack so many great films though that worked out. And
Yeah.
hopefully it led to some happiness and joy. I don't know, but there really is a lot of really some good stuff in there. And this was
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
one that he shines in, and I'm sad because I feel like the marketing almost should have been, it's hard to criticize posters from this era because we do a lot of praising of those posters and marketing from back in the
Mhm.
day. But like we were talking about
Right.
earlier about the billing, it becomes all about Hoffman's character in the billing. And I feel like this is
Mhm.
one poster where I needed to have, Hoffman and Schneider, and then with the
Mhm.
Laurence Olivier shadowy type, I feel like that more
Oh,
of that, you know, 90s era feel of a spy thriller poster would have been more fitting for
mhm.
this movie. It's not quite what you would expect.
Right.
And uh,
And they
I,
did posters like that back in the 70s. Just look at Star Wars, where you had everything and
mhm,
then Darth Vader is looming over it. I mean, I realize they're trying to give good old Hoffman a little more juice. He's coming off of Midnight Cowboy, which was, you know, uh,
phenomenal
quite,
performance for sure.
yeah, it was quite a controversial film for its time. They did a disservice to Scheider. What would have happened if they would have put him on there and the poster with him like that? I think it might have helped his career a little bit more. It would have given him a little more credence in that.
Well, think about that too. They were able to get Hoffman. So Hoffman comes off Midnight Cowboy. Scheider comes
Mhm.
off of Jaws,
Right.
and they were able to get Laurence Olivier, who is
Yeah.
just a legend, an absolute
Mhm.
legend. So
Right.
the film, I think, could have definitely benefited a little bit from that because they just kind of ignored. I mean, and maybe they just didn't realize. So there is some. I'm going to switch all of our sharing over, folks, so you'll see us we have some issues here while I do that. There is a VHS box that I found over on IMDb,
Ooh.
and it. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Hang on, let me take this out here. Put this over here. There you go. So on this VHS box, they do at
Yeah.
least add lyrics. But look, poor Roy Schneider's he's left off of that too.
Yeah.
He's on the back.
Mm-hmm. All
And the
buff
fight,
and ripped.
they show him a little fight scene or whatever, but it's
Mm-hmm.
still it's Hoffman with a pistol, Laurence Olivier. It's a thriller,
Mm-hmm.
very very generic UK VHS box. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
most of the material looks like that.
Yeah.
You
I mean, it's a good poster. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good poster, but
yeah,
I think it does a disservice to everybody else that's in that movie because, as I stated, I think this is more of an ensemble than it is just a one specific actor movie.
yeah,
And we had a lot of that back in the 70s.
I agree.
I mean,
I agree.
Altman was notorious for that. It's like, okay, go out there. I'll do a bunch of happy weed, and you guys do your thing. You can follow the script if you want, man.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm not going to go down the Robert Altman bandwagon of how I don't
Oh,
really care for most Robert Altman films. So that's a different
right,
topic
right.
for a different day. But
That,
you're
yeah.
right. It's just a lot of. But you know what? He got some time with Laurence Olivier. So
Oh, yeah.
happy for him, man. He was able to have a really cool scene.
It
I
was.
do like the fact that they tried to think of a way to make it believable that this, aging old man could at least hold his own against the young buck spy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, this guy is technically, I think he's only in his late 60s at this point, but he feels like he's older in the movie. He's ailing. But
Mm-hmm.
they did really well. They did a really good job. I also love the little, almost like gadgetry. We have at least a moment of some gadgetry, which is kind of clever, some actual spy stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it works really well. And set
Right.
against, and talk about set against a really
Oh,
cool lit location, just beautifully done. Oh, it's phenomenal, man.
I love that. When I saw that, it's like, oh my word, that is just how that was all done with the city lights and that contrasting off of the others and the whitish silver on the other side is like what a beautiful setup scene, especially for what's all happening and doing a great job of doing kind of proper shade shadow effects on the characters.
Yeah, definitely with the red in the background.
Hmm.
It's great imagery. Yeah, most of it's location. There was a reservoir thing that was built for a big set on the
Hmm.
Paramount lot, but almost everything else was location shooting, overseas and here in the States.
Hmm.
And then the film starts. We're pretty much halfway when the film, because Roy Scheider's character kind of staggers to Babe's apartment,
Hmm.
kind of stumbles in from his injuries, and now the film really does become about Babe
Yep.
and being a man and dealing with some real serious crap going on that he's been oblivious to. Here's William showing up
Hmm.
and just talking to him about what's going on. And the best thing is us in the audience, we kind of know a lot more than any of the other characters at this moment. That's what's interesting.
Hmm. Yeah.
Interesting is the script, unlike a lot of films, is just let the audience know everything. You're just sitting here as an observer. You know more than Babe and Doc, Roy Scheider's character. You know more than
Hmm.
Zell and all the other characters. You know more
Right.
than yeah. It was really different to try to walk through this, unpacking of the crime story where you and the audience don't really have any. We don't really have any mysteries. We really kind of
Right.
know everything that's going on. It's a completely different approach than a lot of thrillers and stuff that relies on a mystery box or a twist or a turn or something. This really doesn't have a lot of that. It's just a different kind of approach.
Right. It relies upon the characters, and that's what you're watching. You know what's going on, so you're seeing how they react to it. It's all about seeing, the interplay. Yeah, you know what's going on, but how are they going to when they start discovering? So, which works just fine. I mean, just like, like Sherlock Holmes stories, right? Basically, they almost let out right away who in some of the stories what it was, and then it's Sherlock explaining how he came to that conclusion or
Mm.
the deduction. So in many ways, Sherlock Holmes isn't a mystery series. It's more of a CSI or something in that fashion. So I like the hair, by the way.
Thank you very much. I'm working on getting a Vida Salon commercial of some kind. Yeah,
You're going full Fabio.
it's Brad Pitt.
Which
It's Brad Pitt with a glow. Just so we're completely clear for all of you at home. Brad Pitt with a glow. Compared to the real life, rugged, deadliest catch reject look that I wear daily. I'm cold again, by the way. For those of you who are asking, I'm cold again because we had like yesterday while we're filming this. Yesterday morning was like 60. It warmed right up. I'm like, oh man, this is a great turning point. Woke up this morning, it was 40 again, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I got chills. So we didn't have the heat high enough, so I got cold overnight. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we're not stupid groundhog. Always blame the ground. Always blame the groundhog, folks. Just blame the groundhogs. It's just easier for everybody. So
40 degrees, heat wave. It's
I
a
know
heat
all these
wave.
people up north. These people are just nuts. He'd be down here, rocking the abs in the Florida without a shirt on and wearing shorts because it's 40 degrees outside. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like 37. It's like go out barefoot with the puppies this morning going, yeah, pretty nice out, isn't it?
pretty nice out, yeah. All right, so back to the film. So again, like I said, the film makes a stark turn about that halfway point. They deal with tragedy, all that. Our main character is now picked up, and you end up with this sort of the famous scene. Now, I will tell you again, I knew of it. I have seen a minuscule clip, but I didn't have enough perspective to appreciate it like I do now. I will say some of the stories about, him and Olivier and filming some of this, I don't totally know which piece is which. I think it was a shot like this that I saw early on, but I think it was also in comparison to like the famous Little Shop of Little Shop of Horror or something like that. So I don't think I had any real perspective of the torture stuff that was going on here. But man, they pull off so brilliantly the pain and suffering of having someone drill into your nerve like a root canal. So just imagine you don't need a root canal and they're just going to drill into one and give you one. So forget about just pulling teeth out, which is traumatic enough. But that's more like a pain and done. We've all had, I don't know, Baron, I don't know how many teeth you've had extracted, but they pluck a tooth. It hurts, and then it's over, right? You don't feel anything else, just you're bleeding, but it hurts. That was it.
No,
Then you have like the aching, then you have that aching throb feeling, right? Because now you have an open wound.
Right.
But if someone's drilling into your root canal, that's actually the nerve ending. So they're just this scene really accurately made me feel. Look at the joy in his face. Zell is amazing, man. He is wicked.
The White Angel.
The White Angel. Called. Yeah.
And my the long suffering, the poor long suffering who really is suffering now, has an fear. You mean just an absolute utter fear of dentists.
Oh boy. I made it worse by having her watch this movie. Sorry to the long suffering.
Yeah. So we came to that, it's like, I'm going to be talking now. I'm not going to close my eyes. I'm going to talk. I don't care if it's interrupting your film because I don't want to hear anything. I'm going to be, and it's like, yeah, well, then it's delivering that through. I mean, how many people do have fear of the dentist and they see that scene? It's like, they're, all of a sudden they're clawing into the chair in the theater, and when they walk out, their their handprints are in there. Then the next person goes in there, what's these for? It's like, oh, now I know. When that scene comes, yeah, it also shows that you can do torture without having the brutalism, and then it starts getting you thinking, oh yeah, there are little things that can be done that don't really leave marks or whatever, but they can really do some physical and psychological damage. This is the brutal 70s. I mean, this is a typical film of its age. Late 60s, early 70s to mid. And when we saw scenes like this where they're trying to get information, normally the person's getting the what kicked out of them.
Yep.
Well, this was a different approach that we saw in the film, which is probably why it's so memorable. And for me, like I said, we always heard kind of lines, "Is it safe?"
Yes.
And we knew exactly what people were talking about, even if you didn't see the film, because it was talked about for, I don't know. I mean, this was still in the consciousness of society for, I would say, for at least a decade and a half
Yeah, I
before it
think it
started
was
fading away.
it's just a random quote associated with the movie for me, but it had been quoted for years. It'd be on top quotes of all
Mhm.
time, those type of things.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen the movie,
yeah,
so I didn't really have any context. No one had really connected a lot of dots for me. The one thing I wanted
right.
to point out and add to what you were saying is the cold, gray, dingy, callous, it's concrete block. This could be like the basement of a
Hmm.
university, or I mean, it's
Hmm.
really uber low budget, guys. You could easily do
Right.
this on low budget. So the idea that the Yahtzee would have a completely different strategy of extracting information than the local, NYPD or even
Yeah.
FBI, I think all of that it really, really just plays itself really well. This was
Hmm.
this lived up to a lot of the advertising. To be honest, I don't know what to say.
Right.
It was unnerving and disturbing. This is our middle of our movie. You're like, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
this is crazy. And I get it. I get it.
Right.
So
It works because, honestly, for someone who was in the position that they were in the National Socialist Party, they wouldn't have a room that was all fancy. It does more psychological when you go into a bare room like that and proceed to have this done, especially when they're rolling the things out in front of you. They're not there right away, but we'll roll it out there, or
mhm.
we'll put that out there. It adds to that atmosphere and understanding. How many other films we have that? I mean, I remember, like, in Babylon 5, when they had the intersections in real time where Sheridan was being tortured, and of course there's a blank room, a black room, but you have a like a drain in the center of the room, or some other places is like, what's that for? Well, you're gonna find out.
Yeah, we're
I
about
mean,
ready to let you know.
hmm and that should, when you see that, it's like you should become a little unnerved, and it works just as fine. The minimalist approach, when you have scenes like this, interrogation, or dare I even say torture, is the best route to go to really get the tension up, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really remarkable. And this is also a famous scene or sequence
Hmm.
where, Hoffman is known to be a method actor, and the rumors and the historical lore is all over the map. But the long story short was he didn't really have a plan, but he wanted to be exhausted. He really wanted to be tired. He really wanted to have a way of conveying the fact that his character hadn't slept all night and all these kinds of things before the torture kind of takes place.
Hmm.
Now, the story kind of got all twisted and turned. He did clarify this on his actor studio and says, "Hey, listen, I just went out partying, went to Studio 54. We know what that means." So he shows up the next day as just a mess. And Olivier's like, "Son, what is wrong with you? What is your deal?" And he tells him the story. And Olivier most famously said, "Well, son, why don't you just try acting?"
Yeah.
That's the big joke. And that was the
Right.
lore and sort of like the Hollywood mythology about this. And there was some back and forth, which was fun. It was more like
Hmm.
joking stuff. He had
Right.
tremendous respect for one another. They had wonderful stories that they
Hmm.
had obviously shared back and forth in their time that they were together. And it makes this scene, I think, mean more to people who were fans of Olivier living through that time and that era. I just
Hmm.
think that's just a little bit more the folklore, the cinema folklore, if you will, behind that sequence. It's one of those things where for us, Baron, we know the history of
Right.
how certain things get made, let's say in Star Wars. So it'll
Hmm.
always be special. Like we know what the Death Star trench run, we know what a miracle it was to see them,
Yeah.
cannibalize hundreds and hundreds of model kits from back in the day to pull that off with blue screen. And,
Mhm.
we know the history behind the Jaws not working, and hence the
Mhm.
reason we have barrels and why that's such a masterpiece. And, so with them, I think it
Mhm.
also lends itself to, oh, you know what, dude, he actually just tried to exhaust himself and get into this role. And yeah,
Right.
it definitely warranted. Sadly, he didn't get an Oscar nod. I was shocked. He did win some acclaim. Not going to
Yeah.
say it was without some acclaim. Olivier got an Oscar nod for Best Supporting Actor. That is the only Oscar for this film for this year, because it just happened to come out against other really big name films like Network, All the President's Men, and of course Rocky.
Mhm.
So this is not a film that could carve out a lane amongst those others because they have a big shadow. And
Mhm.
I haven't watched Network or All the President's Men in a really long time. Might be worthy to go back and give those a little fair
Mhm.
shake. I've also got the I've been dusting off like the other franchises, right? So I'm
Mhm.
currently binging through Dirty Harry's 5 films to do a little Dirty
Ooh.
Harry ranking and conversation. I've done the same.
Mhm.
I got Rocky kind of queued up as to go through. And that's a longer list. I'm not sure if I can get through.
Mhm.
We have to have at least 8 Rocky movies now, I think. There's got to be at least that many.
Oh. Well, do you wanna include the Creed films? Because they're in the universe.
So I will have a confession to make to people. You guys can throw stones if you want. I never watched any of them. I just
Mhm.
couldn't do it. I just
I
it
haven't.
it 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 had some appeal to it, and then I didn't see it, and then by the time I
Mhm.
kind of was going to watch it, it landed on a digital or something like that. The sequel was coming out or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, it
Mhm.
just didn't work out. I never had press screenings for those. I don't know why, but that was kind of back in
Hmm.
the day. I don't know. Maybe I sent someone else, but that is the other problem too. Is sometimes they have pressers on times where it doesn't always work, and you have to
Mhm.
share that. But yeah, I'm looking at if we count all the 3 Creed movies, because we have 6 Rocky movies and 3 Creed
Mhm.
movies. That's 9 films. I cannot
Right.
see myself watching 9. I don't. I
No.
don't know. I don't know that I can see myself watching
And
9. But
Stallone, I believe, is in the first Creed, if I remember right. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
yeah, I think so. I think he's in at
Yeah.
least one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like the passing of the torch film on that
Hmm.
one. I know they were kind of doing a little bit of that with 5, but
Yeah, they've
but
tried a
yeah, then
couple
there was
times to
actually
pass the torch.
yeah,
Uh, no, he's in.
and
He's in the second one. Well, he's produced it. Yeah, he's in the second one as well.
oh, he is in the second one as well. Okay,
He's in the
okay.
second one as well, and I'm checking the third one to see if he's in the third one. I don't think he is, but
Hmm. Kind of
he's
hard to
in.
keep track sometimes.
Yeah, I have to look again. I'm not going to pretend that I know because I just
Hmm.
did not watch. But I haven't watched Rocky in those films, excuse me, for a long time. So I thought it'd be a fun one to
Right.
do as well. Dirty Harry as well, just like So
Oh.
I don't own the Death Wish franchise, so I'll have to look at what's
Hmm.
on streaming, see if I can get through those as well. It might be the follow up
Yeah.
to the old Dirty Harry. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun to do that and go down the rabbit
Oh.
hole with these things that kind of are birthed out of this. And with Marathon Man, it made me want to double check other
Hmm.
70s sort of crime stuff from that era that I may have missed. We've watched some of them. I know I've watched other stuff on the other channel,
Yeah.
so I don't know which ones I might have missed on a rewatch. I obviously I talked about like French Connection and stuff like that. So
Right.
yeah, interesting, very interesting. And I say all that as my setup is now because I'm over the halfway mark now. His character kind of gets away,
Hmm.
and there's like this running through the streets thing. I thought that this is where they started to kind of lose me a little bit. Just full
Hmm.
confession. I was it felt unbelievable. It felt kind of silly.
Yeah.
He's running away from a car, which would just it would yes, he can cut through traffic and then but how he got that far was a little bit ridiculous. And then of
Hmm.
course he makes his way to where the girl is. I mean, there's only so many places the dude could go.
Right.
And we do at least speed up the process of how that works out because, and again, if you haven't seen this movie, it's a big spoiler now. He's got the girl there in this it's her friend's house or something. So now all the red flags went up. I don't know about you, but I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
okay. She's in on it too. She's dirty too.
Yep.
And you had some hints that were dropped, so you kind of felt like she might have been. You just didn't really
Mhm.
know. So it
Right.
worked out okay. I I I didn't dislike it, but I will say that this is the 139. So there's about 15 minutes or so to get to that
Yeah.
transition. I wish we'd figured out a different way, or maybe they just threw him aside. I almost feel like it would have been better to have them go, he clearly doesn't know anything. And maybe he does know anything. Well, fine. Then just throw him aside. We'll just follow him and see if he knows anything. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because they have the
Right.
girl. They know where he would go. Like, why would you make a big
Mhm.
dramatic thing about this silly chase thing? It didn't really matter. Just dump him on the side of the street and have him stagger and save 10
Mhm.
minutes of screen time. But anyway, what were your thoughts on that sequence? Is it just a pops thing? Did
I
you like
No, it's not a pops thing. It's, I mean, first of all, we are in Spoilerville here.
Yeah,
So
you're definitely a
let's
spoiler now, for sure.
okay, we're in Spoilerville. If you don't like it, just turn off.
Yeah, spoilers.
I'm gonna get in so much trouble now.
I suspected the character all the way back when Babe Doc and her were having dinner.
Yep.
It's like, and she was revealed to be off Deutsch
Yes.
instead of what she was, trying to pass herself as Swiss or something like that. But yeah, I mean, him running like that, doing the jumping over the side of bridges and whatnot. It just, the guy is exhausted already. He's been beaten, sleep deprived. I realized Devane almost catches up to him a few times, and of course, like you said, the car. It's just like, no. This is. I mean, I realize you wanted to have a chase scene because of the name of the film. He's a marathon runner.
Yeah.
He's a marathon man. They could have done something like that in another way in another scene, but how they executed here is the total suspension of belief, in my opinion. It's like, oh, he's trying to run away. Ha ha ha. Okay, we got you. We hit you with the car and put a couple bullets in you. Film over. Boom. Have fun. But yeah, I mean, when up to obviously when he meets up with the girl and then they go to the house and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, we're
But the
back to the
thing is,
story again, kind of thing, right? So
yeah.
like you feel like you're back
Mhm.
to the story, but that
Mhm.
little middle transition is by far the weakest element of the film.
Right.
There's a really rough 15, maybe 20, but 15 for sure. You can't cut all of it out. You'd have to figure out how to
No.
transition him in some way, shape, or form. So at least 10 or 15 minutes of that could have been reworked differently. Again, it is
Right.
based on some original source material. So I don't
Right.
want to
Right.
I'm not throwing total stones at John Schlesinger. I'm not throwing
Mhm.
stones here at William Goldman for the script
No.
because the original novel that Goldman wrote, but I felt like this was the worst element of the film. I also
Mhm.
feel like now we get here and you end up with the sort of confrontation. They do a really good job of bringing all this together of the who's who
Mhm.
and how it's going to play out, other
Right.
than the fact that he kind of knows what he's doing with the gun. It doesn't
Mhm.
make any sense. They've kind of created a nice contrast with his brother Doc, who gave him a gun that's literally wrapped in it. He's never touched this thing. Clearly, that was the indication in the desk
Right.
drawer when he pulls it out. It's like, you still have that thing? Like he's never touched it in his life. He's presented
Mhm.
as sort of like kind of what we would call like a lefty New York college kid. Like he's treated
Right.
as like, dude, he ain't touching a gun for nothing. But no, we get to the cabin scene and he's holding his own against,
Mhm.
trained men. And I thought
Yeah.
that was a little bit of a stretch for me. I just couldn't totally get there in this sequence.
Mhm.
I don't think he misses a lot either. Like it would
No.
be,
No.
I don't think he misses. I think he hits the one guy quickly, easily. And yeah,
Mhm. Now,
yeah.
granted, he is up close and personal, so I mean, there's that. But yeah, the pistol he has is a good one. Confession, I got one of those. That's a star. It's supposed to look like a Colt Commander or to a Colt, but Hollywood bought a bunch of those pistoles is from it's a Spain company. Reason why they look like Colts, but they got
Mhm.
them dirt cheap, and they do fire nice. But the thing is you don't, and it's even said in the film that he's a lefty.
Mhm.
What's a liberal guy like you with a liberal with anger issues, I believe is the actual line.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
But no, when you're pulling the trigger and the thing going cha-chunk, cha-chunk, anybody who's familiar with how 1911 A1 style pistoli works, yeah, it's kind of hard, even up close and personal, that he could miss or could wing, other than making those actual kill shots, you might say. So
Yeah,
it was a little hard, but I mean, I could see him hitting targets, but not necessarily being competent about it.
yeah, and the one shot's like through the window into the dude's
Mhm.
face. It's a little much.
Right.
That was a little much. So this is the other weird element of the film, because you end up with like this great hour plus, then this weird transitional thing. We get to this, it's like a big little shootout thing, and
Mhm.
then the film just radically decides we're now just going to transition over to the White Angel.
Mhm.
And it's a very striking mood change in the
Right.
film. Like I felt like it's a very striking mood change. And I didn't totally get what was going on here at first. He's clearly got these diamonds and he's trying to get a price. I don't
Right.
understand why he would need to put himself in harm's way like this, like actually be out into the public where he could easily just get mugged by somebody. Who knows? He's just like
Right.
an old white dude. He's got a cool bag. I mean, it
Mhm.
seems like odd that that's the way the
Right.
film wanted to handle this thing. And he's just going around before he's recognized. This crazy old hag's creating chaos for him, and they run through the streets, and all
Mhm.
sorts of stuff is happening here. And he ends up having to use this cool little device to
Mhm.
get away again. His escape and how that's played out is phenomenal. It's
Yeah,
epic.
it is.
I love it.
Cool.
Gashes the guy. He's like, "This man needs help here. This man needs help here. Oh my gosh!" And then just kind of he
Mhm.
can kind of cloak and dagger away.
Mhm.
Uh,
Exactly. That was really a big tension builder, because first you had the scene with the donut guy and the survivor. It's like time to make the donuts. Of course, the recognition. I've seen you somewheres, and Zell is trying to brush it off. Well, maybe you saw me in London or whatnot, and so on. Then going out and you saw this old lady earlier, and watching them and he's coming out. Then she starts doing her screaming and yelling, and of course, it's New York. Who's going to pay attention to that?
right.
This is New York, 1977, folks, or 76, I should say. And I found it so ironic him entering into the one place where they do the exchanges, the whole full, and you can see the huge giant CCTV
Yeah.
that they had back in the day. It's like they weren't so concealed. And
Nope.
the whole place is filled with Jews, and here he is. He's from the National Socialists, and he's seen
Yep.
all the yarmulkes and all that. It's like you can see the little discomfort he has going in there.
And here's some Orthodox that are passing him in the street.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's definitely among the Jewish community in doing this
Mhm.
endeavor. So
Yep.
he is against people that he not only despises, but he's radically outnumbered.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah. So as the mob starts to form and he
Mhm.
realizes that, I mean, he is like radically, like surrounded and that kind of thing. Yeah. And then he kind of then we transition to where he's going with these,
Yeah.
and then you end up with
And
our
it's
final climax. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say a great tension builder too, how he's going through with the crowd and all that, and then how she makes a mistake that gets the pressure put off on him, that leads the other guy, the survivor, to come up, and he got away because of fate. Little things happening, and of course him playing a piece in it where the attention wasn't on him no more. But the buildup, you can see the tension as he's going through. He's trying to look normal. Great job by Sir Laurence Olivier, and you wouldn't expect anything less.
I think it was great. I'm glad we had so we moved Babe, Dustin Hoffman's character, away from the torture sequence into the cabin. We had the shootout at the cabin scene. We cut to that. So a little smoother for me would have been a little better, but then we end up with our big climax because Babe has followed him. We
Mhm.
haven't seen him emerge during any of the stuff on the street. I don't know exactly how long he's been following. So I think they
Mhm.
could have clued us in the audience a little bit better of how long he's being followed, what's been going on. But then you end up with the
Mhm.
big conflict with the over the diamonds and how that kind of plays out.
Mhm.
Uh, So yeah, interesting. Look how great his performance. He is just
Yeah.
really good. Just a great professional, man. Just really, really good
Hmm.
at everything. Just
Yeah.
done well.
And that
So
set. Ooh, that set.
all the set, yeah, I think that's the one they built. That is the Paramount
Yeah.
set. The other stuff was all location shooting,
Mhm.
and that was definitely a set. So yeah, big set too,
Mhm.
by the way.
Yeah, it
This
was.
this is also the first film I believe had some Steadicam work done. It came out right before
Oh.
Rocky. Some of those running scenes and things of that would
Mhm.
involve that were also done with some Steadicam work right before the Rocky, and I think Bound for Glory also had the
Mhm.
Steadicam work on it. So again, this is cutting edge technology. This is the way we talk about
Yeah.
Star Wars. Of course, it overshadows everything else. But remember, they didn't have Steadicam until then. Can you imagine life
No.
without Steadicam? Just still, my brain's like these big giant camera rig things had to be used. It's like, ooh, no.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
which made those jogging scenes so great at that time, and
yeah,
still good scenes.
yeah. No, I think it's
In
well
that.
executed for sure. So again, I really misconstrued this film from its legacy and what it was going to be about and all that. Then like I said, I it's one of the first. I totally confess, I don't normally get down the Wikipedia, don't normally get down the rabbit hole a little bit, but I just felt
Mhm.
blindsided from what I actually thought and then how it actually manifested. I had my
Mhm.
score thoughts in my head. I'm going to stick with those, even though as I have unpacked more, I may tell you why. I was shocked because I was going to come down as a 3.5 out of 5 on this movie, a 7. I thought that actually
Mhm.
was pretty much where I was going to come down. I thought that was significantly low for this film, thinking that it had a
Right.
much higher overall score. Most people had it much higher. So Rotten Tomatoes has it, around 80, and IMDb and some other stuff has it in the sevens. So I
Mhm.
realized, I guess I'm just pretty much normal on this movie after. I did not think that. I actually thought this was even because we've only heard all these amazing things about this our whole
Right.
lives. We've never, so yeah, I don't know. I think that if it had a couple of things that were just a little bit tweaked, I would probably love it even more.
Mhm.
But well executed, great film. Don't find it particularly interesting enough to rewatch, even though I would probably not change the channel if the Roy Schneider scenes are on. Because I probably was,
Yeah.
if I was flipping and the Roy Schneider scenes on, I'd probably like, oh, I'll sit here for a few minutes, watch this
Yeah.
sequence. So that was the highlight of the movie. He was the highlight of my movie for me. I'm sorry to Laurence Olivier. I thought he was
Mhm.
okay. I
Mhm.
thought that could have easily been played by Donald Pleasance
Yeah.
or,
Ooh.
Richard Attenborough, or could have been
Mhm.
played, so sorry,
Burton.
Lawrence. Yeah, yeah. So sorry to Laurence Olivier, wasn't as
Mhm.
impressed. He was
Right.
totally great, by the way. I'm not trying to say that, but I don't
Oh.
feel like it was so epic. Only Laurence Olivier. No, Zell could have been played by several.
Mhm.
The Hoffman thing, like I said, the marketing and stuff's what threw me for the loop. I will give him credit. First off, he's actually worked out and did a lot of running, clearly, because he's physically
Mhm.
a lot more lean and buff than a little tiny Jewish man that he normally is. So give him some kudos for that I would not have said coming into this. He's
Yeah.
phenomenal, of course. The torture scene is phenomenal, but yeah, I kind of lean into 3.5 because of the rewatchability. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't say it's a soft 3.5 because I can't imagine watching it again, really, unless there was some other reason
Mhm.
to. So, all right,
Right.
Baron, what say you, my friend?
Well, again, they had so many great actors and actresses in this film, even if they were small parts. Like I said, Fritz Weaver earlier. Of course, the unspeaking assassin. I love his name, James Wing Woo. But he looked so, even though he didn't have any lines, he was just spooky as heck.
Yeah, he
And
was really
we
good.
get,
Good point.
yeah. Mhm. And we get an uncredited cameo with the jogging scene in the beginning, in a little exchange between Dustin Hoffman and him. Treat Williams, the late great Treat Williams, uncredited in this film. Roy Scheider scenes, exactly. It was just so fascinating watching Roy Scheider. Dustin Hoffman did a great job. I'm not going to deny that. Of course, if women are into Dustin Hoffman, you get to see his bootay in the film. You're absolutely right. I mean, when you said Pleasance, it's like, ooh, would have been an interesting performance. Just knowing these other people's approaches of how they would probably approach a role like that, and he did good. Uh, I think again the chase scene is a thing that really weakened the film. If you didn't have that weakening there, if they would have done it different, I would probably. But because of especially Roy Scheider, again, like you said, Roy Scheider, I give this three bucket of popcorns and a bag of popcorn.
All right.
and
That's awesome.
and definitely that extra bag, that bag is helping out from good old Roy Scheider.
For sure. And you're right about, I'm glad you brought up James Wing Woo because he is really phenomenal. And sadly, so he has a couple of random roles. He was in Replacement Killers, Lethal Weapon 4, Kung Pao.
Mhm.
He's just got some random stuff, but
Yeah.
he was really, really good as
Mhm.
this quiet Asian assassin. Man,
Mhm.
shame on Hollywood for not getting
Yeah.
this guy in some James Bond movies and some other spy stuff and
Ooh.
espionage stuff
Mm.
that should have happened from the late 70s. There is no reason that those Roger Moore movies couldn't have tapped into a James Wing Woo. There is no excuse. You guys should be
Yeah.
ashamed of yourselves. He was
Yeah.
really good in that role. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I didn't know the Treat Williams things. That one got by me. So kudos for you for picking that up for me, making sure I get that reference. Oh, I see that. I see it mentioned now on the bottom of the page on some of the references.
Mhm.
Yeah, good stuff. Really, I'm not really such a massive fan of anyone other than Roy Scheider. I mean, I like Hoffman. I always
Mhm.
had respect for his work and his
Oh
resume
yeah.
of things, but
Mhm.
I mean, I've watched Midnight Cowboy once, but I've never really watched it again, and I don't know
Mhm.
if we could revisit it or not. Like I think John Voight's great, but
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to watch it again. So, Schlesinger's fine. I don't know of his other films that I think I want to sit through. I don't
Right.
know of any other things that he's done that I would want to just rewatch and watch regularly. So I don't want to just pretend that I like things more or not just because it would be cool to do so because I just
Mhm.
haven't, seen a lot of stuff that I would. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's interesting. We kind of came down in a similar way. I think I'm a little softer than you. I think if I'm forced into a corner, it might be like a 3 out of 5 for me because I just can't imagine watching it again. Other than the Roy Scheider thing,
Right. Scheider. Yeah.
he really is the only reason to watch it. Especially the
Yeah.
scenes with the assassin. That'd be some of the best parts to watch again. Yeah,
That was straight out of James Bond, man.
yeah, man,
And
really
it
good.
didn't. And you know what? What a fantastic death in there too. It's like that. It wasn't exactly what I thought. I was expecting to go over the edge because you had that old
Oh
gentleman
yeah, the balcony.
watching, trying to get the nurse, and it started with him on the balcony, which
Yep.
is why the old guy across the way was watching, and of course, watching the blood splatter because Roy Scheider was able to protect himself from the cutout. More refreshing death because it was unexpected, and that's what I want to see. It's like, don't go with those typical tropes. It's like, okay, yeah, I think he's going to go over the. Oh, he didn't.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Well, and
and
it's and it was hard for the character, and the
mhm,
character was visibly injured
yep,
that weren't just magically healed in the next scene. Like it was
no,
there was some pay there was some cost. So and the
mhm,
character I think feels that because he talks about there's that scene where he talks about I used to be at the top of the game and now I know I'm not. And it's like
mhm,
that I wouldn't have let myself get the jump on me, and I also probably wouldn't have gotten hurt in the past. I'm obviously
right.
slowing down, whatever. So yeah, that was the best part of the whole movie for me. I know the
I think,
torture scene is the epic thing. I have
mhm,
massive respect for all of that. I
yeah,
think it is great for what it is, but I will say the other piece was something because it just makes me want more of it, and I think that's
yeah,
something that we definitely made that. I mean, that's it. We're thirsty for such great things, and it was really good. So
yeah. Inside my mind, I think for me that was the highlight of the movie was that fight.
yeah.
And inside that little Baron inside was screaming and yelling, "Why did they never use him for a spy film?"
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it's like he's debonair. He's you can see the wheels turning in his head. He doesn't act. You can tell he knows more what's going on than he's letting on. So with all that, it's just like, yeah, for me, Dustin Hoffman and his films are usually one and done for me. I'm not taking anything away, just like you were saying, not taking away from his acting or anything. But for me, his roles, what he's usually in, one and done. Okay, I'll watch it. Okay, it was good. Rain Man, of course, great quotable lines, Judge Wapner on the floor and stuff like that. But
Sure.
I don't really care to watch it again. Even Tootsie, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
that was
it's
fun.
fun. Yeah.
I don't see myself wanting to go back and watching it. Roy Scheider in some of the films that he's been in, it's like, oh, I want to watch his performance again. How many times I've seen 2010 right there is one sign. Of course, you look at Jaws, a bunch of the other, and it's not that they're blockbusters, but that he helped make them blockbusters. And
Fair enough.
And of course, Laurence Olivier. Obviously, there's several films I've seen of him more than once. Clash of the Titans, one of them.
Yep.
But as it goes, it's like, yeah, this is a one and done. But I agree with you. Those scenes, especially that fight scene, comes up, and on channel, going around with the channel, I'll stop and watch it. It's like, yeah, this is just too good. So people today need to watch that scene, analyze that scene, how that scene was done. And it's like, okay, now break your usual tropes and start being creative, because this was creative.
Agreed. All right, folks. Well, listen, that's our thoughts on the Marathon Man. Our first watch, 50 years. Wow. Took us 50 years to watch it, so we did. So we did. We've watched it. And
Sonny.
Get our thought, two old guys watching an old movie. I want to tell you. But hopefully you're having a good time with that. Hopefully you enjoy hanging out with Baron as much as I do. Go check out the comments, get your links, connect with him as well. And, we'll see you next time. We'll do this again. And until then, you be blessed. Talk hard. I am Pops.
Is it safe?
What's safe?
Is it safe? Dustin Hoffman. Laurence Olivier.
Is it safe? No, it's not safe. It's very dangerous.
Marathon Man, a thriller, rated R.